All right, so we're gonna get started, and then
Okay.
again, he'll jump in a few minutes when he
Okay.
joins us, and we can make
Sounds
fun of him. It'll be great. All right. Good evening, and welcome to Percussionistics episode number 5. I am Colin Bossler. I've been with you since the beginning, and I'm incredibly excited to say that we've decided to add another host. Her name is Robin Gilbert. Robin, say hello to everybody, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. Normally, I would say that my good friend Glenn Jones is with us, but for some reason, the doctor got his time wrong. So when he Robin and I are going to get started, and when he joins, we're going to get to make fun of him. So you get a little extra tonight in terms of our razzing Dr. Jones when he joins us. But um, Glenn and I have been having a blast doing the podcast, and Robin was one of the folks kind enough to listen. And when we were looking for somebody to join us, because we thought we really need an adult in the room between Glenn and I just cannot be left alone. And we thought Robin really was probably the best person qualified to mediate between the two of us, and keep us in line. She did an excellent job when she introduced herself and had some conversations with us. So, Robin, we're incredibly happy to have you with us. Why don't you tell the listeners about yourself?
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I will do my best to not make you guys regret your decision. Um, I Let's see, long story short, I've been a professional ballerina my whole life and also began playing the drums years and years ago. Um, I guess about 30 years ago, actually. Self taught and was playing with a four-piece band for about 24 years. And then just a cover band here on Long Island. Uh, it's a little bit tricky to play original music out on Long Island. Everyone wants to hear the covers, and I love the music anyway, so it's a pleasure actually. And then COVID happened, and the band dispersed, but the keyboard player and I continued as a duo called Pagman and Robin. So currently, Pagman and Robin are actually going on our 7th year playing together, and keyboard and drums, both vocals, and with Johnny playing everything on those keys and me playing the drums and both of us singing, we cover everything that a full band used to cover. So it's a lot of fun and trying to keep my drumming chops up. And I never thought I would be talking about drumming on a podcast, but I just enjoyed so much talking to you and Glenn. Um, just so thrilled to be here and it's actually, I have to say, like, given me such a new spark to drumming as well. Just talking about it and listening to the musicians that we've been talking about and the topics we've been talking about. So I feel very excited about this and a renewed excitement about my playing. So I thank you for that.
Wonderful. Our pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure. When you talked about so drumming for 30 years, I think is what you just said, right?
I did.
Yeah, that's amazing and self-taught. So tell our listening audience a little bit about that process of picking up the sticks and becoming a drummer. Say, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to develop this. That's a heck of a lift.
Yeah, it really was a little bit by accident. I was at a point in my dance career that I thought I might not be moving forward with it. And I love performing, and I was feeling a little bit lost about what to do about my dancing and what else would I enjoy doing. And my husband is a very, very talented guitar player. He was in our basement jamming with a band that he was trying to kind of get going, and the drummer took a job in Florida, had to move away, so they were using a drum machine, they were jamming every week, and I was actually sitting upstairs twiddling my thumbs going very naively, I could do that, why don't you just have me do that? So um uh I was asked to listen to a bunch of songs. I was given some rudiment videos and said, learn this and copy what you hear on these songs. And basically, that's kind of what I did. So, self taught is maybe a little bit generous. I feel like um, I'm mimicking a little bit still, and um, through my dancing, I'm so used to using my body, using my arms, using my legs. I like to consider myself a very musical dancer. So my timing, hopefully, is very good. So I feel like I call myself a decent timekeeper as opposed to a good drummer. And it's not a put down. I feel pretty good about being a decent timekeeper because that's not easy. Um, but I don't qualify as a really good drummer. I'm an adequate drummer, but I'm also singing as well. So I feel like whatever I'm doing seems to be working. I love it. And I think if you're able to do something that you love and makes you happy and involves music, what's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. You got it. That's what we strive for, right? We strive for doing something that we love.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, until the good doctor joins us, we're going to move on with our normal agenda. So, normally we do some news tidbits. And so, I'm going to start if you don't mind.
Oh,
And this past week, I got to see for the first time Sebastian Bach live. For those that are unaware, Sebastian Bach was the lead singer for a fairly popular band called Skid Row back in the 80s. They had some pretty good radio success, and Sebastian was on the cover of Circus and Hit Parader and all sorts of things. Hello, doctor.
Guys,
hello,
it was
Glenn.
just locked in my mind for 2 weeks that this was at 5:30.
Wow. So daylight saving time, daylight
Yes.
savings time happens, and Glenn just doesn't adjust the internal clock.
I apparently not.
That's all right. Well, listen, we're already underway. Our listeners know we're going to give you a little razzing. So, hey, we appreciate you fitting us in tonight. So thank you for that.
To my 3 fans out there, I apologize. It wasn't even like I wasn't here. I was Colin, I picked up my phone to text you something, and then I saw your text. I
So
started
we're
running down the steps. My wife said, "What's going on?" I'm like, "They started."
That's right. Robin and I don't play. We're moving on. Actually, she was the one. She's like, "You guys really are always this late?" I'm like, "Well, listen, Glenn's not usually this late," but I'm like, "Robin, we're just
Yeah.
gonna keep going." So
Like,
we were just
hello.
so we did Robin's introduction, and I was just saying to her. So I got to see Sebastian Bach for the first time again, former lead singer of Skid Row, a few days ago, and he did a great job. I was saying to Robin earlier, a little bit of a get off my lawn moment now and then. I mean, he's getting a little older, and he wanted to speechify a little bit about politics and some other things, and I don't need a whole much of that, but. The reason I bring it up is because his son was the drummer. He introduced, it's funny, Glenn, when I saw the on the set, so I see the riser because now you guys have me trained. Now I look at drums all the time. Like every time I
Uh,
come in now, I'm just like, oh, what do the drums look like? And it had one of those sound walls we were talking about, those plexiglass, things. And so it catches my eye. But anyway, he comes out, he starts playing, and it sounds good. He did a good job. His voice is still pretty good. Robin said he had done some Broadway, which I didn't realize, but his voice sounded fine. And anyway, he introduces the drummer, and it's his son. And his son did a great job. Everything sounded really good. Some hard parts in my mind, anyway. But I was saying to Robin, what was interesting to me is this family-based music thing seems to be more prevalent now. I don't know about you guys, but I'll speak for myself, as I'm aging, I'm going to these shows and I see a lot of this hand-me-down stuff happening now. A lot of guitarists, a lot of drummers, I see a lot of kids in their parents' bands. Is this something, as drummers, excuse me, and as both of you being formal musicians, it, is this okay? Is it normal? Does it happen? Do you guys age out and give it to your kids? Like, from a musician's standpoint, how often is this happening?
it happens a lot. As a matter of fact, I think Eddie Money's band was like his daughter, his son was the drummer, so
Yeah.
it does happen quite a bit. I don't have as much of a problem with that as I do in business. I mean, music is so organic, and there's DNA involved. These kids have grown up hearing this all their lives, so I don't have a problem with it. The only time I would have a problem with it is if the kid can't play,
Right.
and that's typically not the problem.
And
Right.
Robin, you feel the same?
I agree. I think it's amazing. It is in the DNA. I agree. If there was no talent. Sometimes it skips a generation. So if that was the case, I would think that's not the best thing. But in my experience, everybody that I've seen that has handed over the baton or they're even playing together, um, it's been absolutely amazing and exciting to see. It's in fact, we were speaking earlier. Yesterday was the anniversary of Taylor Hawkins passing, and his son is now taking over the reins, and he's incredible. And so the legacy continues, and I think that's pretty special.
Do you think it's going to get to grandkids, or has it gotten to grandkids?
That's a good question.
Thanks.
Um,
So mine, I'm not aware of.
Okay. Do we
Other
think
than
it's going to
grandkids.
get to grandkids? Do we think now Taylor Hawkins' grandson, or, you know, uh, anybody, Sebastian Bach's son's kid is going to show up now behind the kid? Do we think it's going? Because I'm wondering if, do we think, all right, I'm going to say it this way. As I watch and pay attention to the world of recorded music, I think there's less authenticity now than ever before. I think with AI, with all of the electronic ability, all the different things that you can run your racks through and stuff, I don't see as much authenticity. Am I looking at it? Are we looking at the age group where it still had some authenticity to it and they learned the instrument? And are we going to see grandchildren wanting to learn the authentic instruments? Or are we looking at perhaps this might be the last generation that's going to learn the instruments and then it will be over from a family standpoint?
I think that it really would depend on how influential the band is.
Okay.
Let's say, like, you could see um, Zach Starkey's son playing in a Beatles tribute band.
Okay.
So not only would that be almost kind of a natural progression, there would be some advertisement for that. I can't imagine Skid Row being that relevant. And I like Skid Row music. I can't imagine Skid Row Sebastian Bach being so influential that his son's son is now carrying on that legacy. Another band, I think that would be so much because of who they are at that point. I don't think the fans of that particular grandson's or granddaughter's music would be so familiar with their grandpop stuff that they go, "Oh, okay, we're gonna give you a chance." I think they'd have to earn it on their own. But I do agree with you. It does seem like with AI stepping in, it's really diluting the authenticity of music. And I don't want to sound like the old man on get off my grass, but that's just the way that things are going.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
well, I kind of think that regardless of what band the musician was in, I think the love and passion of playing an instrument that would get handed down through the generations as opposed to and would maybe be kind of not forced upon but heavily influenced on that grandchild that no, this is an actual instrument. This, you learn how to play this. AI doesn't play this. So I would think handing down that generational thing would be uh, taught, to learn an instrument to play. That AI, the thought of AI taking over is unbearable to me. That thought is really unacceptable to me. So handing down generation to generation and teaching what it is to play an instrument, whether you can do it or not, whether you're good at it, but actually teaching how to play the instrument would be, I think, that would happen from any musician that's had any success. They would want their grandchild to actually learn to play it.
I hope so. I hope you're
I
right.
hope so.
Yeah.
But here's something. Now, this is a very small sample size, but when Guitar Center in my area first opened, that was a musician's hub. It would always be packed, and usually it was with people who weren't buying anything. You would just go in there and meet people and exchange ideas. And the drum manager, his name's Warren. This was, man, over 20 years ago. Worked there for years, left, and he just recently came back, and I wasn't expecting to see him. I was Warren. Hey, Glenn. So we were talking, and he said how different it is. He said that when players come in now, they don't know anything about the legends. He gave me a hug because I knew how to connect my stick bag to a snare. And he sat down and he said, "This is really sad." He said, "They come in," he goes, "There's very little focus on technique. There's no history." And I, get it. This is just from his perspective, but it makes sense that it's not so much before you became a fan of the band, you became a fan of the musicians in the band, you became a fan of all those things. Now it's you get a song here, you get a song there. And for the most part, even those songs, even though it's real musicians playing those instruments, it's so manufactured. It
Mm,
can be corrected, be enhanced.
right.
So yeah, that's where we're going. So I don't think that AI is going to completely take it over, but I think that we've got to understand that it does technology is making a huge impact, a much bigger impact than when we were in our formative years.
Right.
Right. All right. Well, we had our news from Robin and myself. Dr. Jones, now that you're here, now that you've graced us with your presence, what did you bring from the news desk?
So I really scoured over the last few weeks for what is some cutting edge news. Because, Colin, I like to bring the cutting edge
You
news
do.
to the podcast.
Absolutely
There's really nothing going on. The most significant things that happened, unfortunately, were some deaths, and they weren't people that we would know. There were some Australian educators and things like that. Not a whole lot on the technology front, not a whole lot of new equipment being introduced. But I mean, when you think about it, it was a relatively short time between our last podcast and now. So my big news was just off the presses. The Percussionistics podcast added a new co-host, but apparently I was late to the table. So that was going to be that.
Okay. Not apparently. You were.
Yeah, yeah, I was. Yeah. I gotta check. Well, I guess the fact that both of you were on at 5 o'clock shows that it was at 5 o'clock. I really thought it was 5:30.
Right.
But anyway,
Another key indicator is that when you get an invitation, it has the time. So when you look at your calendar, it says 5 p.m. So just
well, the
throwing
thing
that
was,
out
I
there for
never.
next time.
No, and Robin, you're my witness. I sent the text out going, "Where is the invitation?"
You did.
Yes.
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
anyway, we could debate who's responsible
Right,
all
right.
night. But let's get to the theme of the episode. So Christmas early, right? Christmas in April kind of thing is our theme tonight. So each of us has selected for the other. Give me 1 second here because I pushed the wrong button. I was going. There we go. So each one of us has picked two songs, one for each of our partners to listen to. So why don't we be the true gentleman, Glenn? We'll let Robin go first.
Sure.
So, Robin, you pick two songs. You can either start with myself or Glenn. Which one would you like to ask about the song that you picked?
Sure. I'll start with you, Colin. So, yes, I picked Don Brewer. I'm Your Captain was the song. I kind of got the feeling from our past discussions that the 70s aren't your like favorite.
Well,
Nice,
there's
nice. So you were
certainly
going for the weak spot.
there's
Nice,
certainly
Robin.
there's certainly a good part of my life, not my strongest part, but I did know this song. This song I did know quite well.
Okay. I was thinking that you probably knew the song. I didn't know if you knew a whole lot about Don Brewer, and I was curious. Could it is a little bit of an epic, long, 10-minute nearly song, with such ebb and flow to it. I just really love it. I love the way the drums and the bass, because they were a three-piece. In fact, I realized I picked three pieces for both of you guys. Um, the way the drums and the bass are coordinated, and I just love the ebb and the flow of it. A little bit of funkiness, a little bit of rock, um, a little bit of orchestration. I was just curious about how you felt about this song. Was it something that you liked? Were you impressed about the drumming, or what were your thoughts about it?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, I had just seen Grand Funk Railroad. Well, I had seen the lead singer, and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but I had seen his his band performing these songs. And I was saying to Glenn on a previous podcast, the drummer was great. That he had in his band. So I got to watch this one recently live, and what I was impressed by every time I hear it now, there's so much work done by the drummer in this song. It's like you said, it's 10 minutes. So you got to space it out, right? Some of it's a little slower. Some of it doesn't. I mean, I'm not a drummer, but the rhythm that he keeps is fairly standard for some parts of it. But there are lots of fills, lots of things that he does to keep this 10-minute epic going along. As I watched it perform, and as I watch and really get an appreciation for drumming, there's so much work that some drummers have to do to keep a song moving. They have to keep things happening, because I think, and this is it's going to be complimentary to you guys and maybe just a little bit of a cut down for other musicians. I don't look at guitarists and I don't look at singers sometimes really paying attention to what the song is doing. It's more what they're doing. Like, I pulled my solo, or I did my jump, I did my scream, I did my run around. Like, but behind them, that drummer's got to keep that going, right? They've got to stay, and I think they enable other people to do this stuff. So when I listened to it, I picked up on that more again this time. That this poor guy's got 10 minutes to do everything else he's got to do and do his have his fun, but he's got to keep this thing going, and that's tough.
I love that you felt that way, because I feel like he is just driving us through this song, and through the fast, through the slow, the verses are a little bit funkier. I just love, like I said, the ebb and the flow of it, and that he is, along with the bass, because they're very much in sync on this song with their rhythms. But he's just guiding you through it. And then at the end, he just starts that train rolling and builds almost a little bit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ravel's Bolero. This is much less of an extent of that build, but just kind of it leaves that trail of that drive, and I love it. So I love that you appreciated. That's what I was hoping to hear from you, that you appreciated his contribution to that epic song.
I got it right. See that, Glenn? I know what I'm talking about.
Well, you know why that song worked for you? Because you don't mind the long, epic songs.
You know, I love a good story song.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. You know
so that. Because I listened to it too. I started it at 5 this morning when I was working out, and it's just fading out right now. It's such a long song.
12 hours. That's amazing.
That's a long song.
By the way, that's on repeat, I think, is the issue there, but go ahead.
You know, so one of the things, are we allowed to talk about the other person's gift?
Would you like to talk about the gift? Would you like to critique what Robin gave me?
I mentioned before, Alan, in one of our first episodes, that you can tell some drummers that are not holding back. They're capable of doing more. And there's others, they're pedals to the metal, and what you're getting is what they got. And I think Don Brewer is one of those guys where he could probably play a whole lot of other things. He's that talented. And you can tell that just in his single stroke rolls, the way he's just getting around the set on that, and his timing on that. So he did a good job. I mean, does a great job on that song. It's just such a long song, man. I don't know if I've ever stayed awake for the ending. Now, Robin, honestly, because I'm not a big fan of songs that tell stories. So,
right.
But as far as the drumming was excellent.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because I also picked it for Colin because I was getting the feeling, especially because of his choice for me, that there's a lot of like heavier, more intense drumming that he's maybe is more gravitating towards. And this was not that at all. So I was wondering about his appreciation for this, especially in such a long epic.
And as we learned, I got it right. So 1-0 me. All right,
listen,
Robin.
It's Robin's first episode. I'm pretty sure that nobody's going to get it wrong.
You might.
Tonight.
You might.
Well,
let's see. All right, Robin, hit the doctor with it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was pretty sure there was no way I was going to find a drummer that Glenn was not familiar with. I think I'm getting the impression Glenn knows every drummer that's ever existed in the history of drumming.
That's not good.
Wow.
You
Okay.
hear that, Colin? So, Colin,
Jeez.
what do you think?
That is such faint praise. But go
Oh
ahead.
my gosh. Well, so I thought, let me go with something that I think maybe he doesn't listen a whole lot to. I was pretty sure that you were familiar with Tré Cool, Glenn. But in typical Tré Cool drumming, he's really pounding it out. He's so precision and so fast. And this particular song, Give Me Novocaine, it's a much more delicate touch, especially in the intro, which I love. I love that intro. I feel like it's kind of gives me that feeling of Novocaine, and then they go into the chorus and he starts pounding in his typical fashion. But so I picked it for you because I thought it's not maybe what you expect from Tré Cool, and I was curious about your feeling on him as a drummer and in this song in particular.
So I think in the genre that he plays, Tré Cool is one of the best. And I saw a video, an instructional video that he did, and he's really, really good. I'm not a big Green Day fan, and you're right, I don't listen to it a whole lot. What I really appreciate about any music is nuance. A song that, even though it's primarily one genre, it pulls in elements of something else. And I really appreciated Give Me Novocaine because it had that calypso kind of feel.
Yes.
And so I picked up on that. Colin would not have, because calypso is a little more subtle than reggae. And we understand that some people are reggae blind.
Yes, we are. We are.
So
I've started a support group. So now we have a meeting once a month, every third Tuesday. And you're right. And calypso would be even harder for me to pick up on. But thanks for calling me out. I appreciate it.
What was great was how he continued that punk kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But he adapted it because the song takes on different forms.
Totally.
So there's the chorus, the bridge, and then the verse. He's doing different things. He's still playing punk, but he's adapting it to that feel, and it never loses that feel. Like, you don't lose the fact that, hey, that's calypso, because he's just pounding it out. So I really like.
What does that mean? Help me what does that mean? It's calypso. Help me, educate me. What does that mean?
Island music. That kind of.
No, I understand the word calypso, but I mean, like, what does it mean from the standpoint of a drummer? Like, when you say that's calypso, help me be educated. What does that mean?
This is one of those things where it's kind of hard to explain without hearing the song. It's almost like, how do you explain a spiral staircase without using your finger? It's a feel. It's a feel.
It's a feel. Okay.
It's a sway kind of a thing, a laid back.
But it's different than reggae.
It is different than reggae. Reggae drives a little more. It bounces a little bit more than reggae.
Okay.
There's sort of an essence to it. Like it's kind of like a pillow. Like there's rhythm, but it's just easy. And I feel like with Tré Cool, with that song, even that intro, it's just it really does make me feel like
you guys can't see her at home, but Robin's swaying as she's talking like this.
Yes.
Somehow there's a palm tree behind her, and
there's a palm tree. It's nice and easy, just like Novocaine is supposed to make you feel when you need to feel that. And in the song, as they go into it, and he starts pounding, like you feel the migraine, and then he lets you back into the Novocaine with that easy rhythm. So
I did not get all that from 3 minutes and 26 seconds of this song, but
Colin, are you familiar with Buffalo Soldier by Bob Marley and the Wailers and Exodus?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, so those songs are militant songs. Okay. It's reggae. Imagine you couldn't do a militant song with calypso music.
Well, no, I would imagine. I don't hear Christopher Cross doing any militant songs in my mind. Right.
Right. So that's kind of explains a little bit. It's just I think Robin did a good job with explaining that.
The sway sold me on it.
Yeah.
So okay, now I got it. So if I start doing that, I know I'm listening to calypso. I got it.
There you go. Right.
All
Right.
right,
Sway will
doctor,
get
you want to
you.
go? What's that, Robin?
The sway will get you.
This way, we'll get. Doctor, you want to go next?
Well,
I'll be the true gentleman. I'll let you go
okay.
next.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, so I gave you the song that I gave you. I keep forgetting.
Mhm.
Played by the one and only the great Jeff Porcaro. Almost Thin Light is a contrast to the song that you gave me, which I enjoyed though.
Okay.
But it seems that the music that you gravitate to is good music, right? So I'm not disparaging it at all, but the character of it is driving. It's a wall of sound. It's very intense. Um, and so I wanted to introduce you. I wanted you to really listen to something with feel, something with emotion, something that takes the lyrics of the song and puts it in percussion. And Jeff Porcaro does that with I Keep Forgetting.
Well, one, I knew that song as well. Okay, very familiar with that song, and I know you and I do enjoy a good jab now and then. So that's not what this is, though. It was really boring. I didn't get out of it what I got of what as Robin was saying when I was talking about Robin's song, and I said this person has to keep the beat. Jeff definitely kept the beat in that song. It is very. I don't want to call it simple because I'm not a drummer. It seemed very consistent and very one pattern throughout the song. Very light fills, things like that. It didn't go anywhere. It just stayed Michael McDonald, and it just stayed all the way consistent until the song was over. And I just went, Toto's more exciting than that. I've heard this guy do amazing things. It didn't really lift me up. It didn't really wow me. I just went, well, that was nice, easy listening AM radio. Did I miss
From the
something?
Yeah, yeah.
What I
don't
miss?
I don't know if you would have. First of all, the song does resonate with it. It's a yacht rock song. There's no
Mhm.
question about that.
Right.
So I'm not saying that everyone has to understand the technicalities it's into playing the song, particularly the drums, to enjoy it. But that beat is a legendary beat. 16th note groove with the 16th note bass drum. Colin, it's a masterpiece.
Yes.
A
That song,
masterpiece.
it
Robin,
is.
Robin, you
It
agree?
is.
Oh my gosh, unbelievably difficult. Even Jeff Porcaro in an interview saying keeping those 16th notes on that hi-hat,
Mhm.
he said his arm was about to fall off, and he keeps it. He never breaks. And what's interesting too is that the song, the lyrics of the song, the way that Michael McDonald is singing it, it's very percussive. So I love that Jeff is just playing it straight through because it's what's necessary, in my opinion, my humble opinion, for that song. And it is a killer beat to play.
To be
Okay.
able to do 16th notes like that all the way through, and I believe he did it in one, maybe two takes, and for them to be consistent all the way through, and for that bass drum just to land right where it lands. And then at the end, he throws in a treat, something that
Yes.
only drummers would appreciate, the way he rolls his bass drum
Yeah.
when he comes out of that
Yeah, I
the
agree.
last
Yeah.
chorus.
Yeah.
That's he's doing that with one foot.
Yeah.
So he's doing with one foot what a lot of Collins heroes do with two.
Right.
And so it's yeah. So I
Okay.
guess
Well,
that was
hey, listen, that's why I'm here to hold down the non-drummer side of things. So you both appreciate it. Masterpiece was the word that you used. Like I said, I'll have to, I'll listen again. You know me. I'll
So-
check it out again.
So let me ask you, in contrast to "I'm Your Captain,"
Mhm.
because it's not that like that song's an adventure. So, or as far as it's certainly not intense the way that you like intensity. So, what is it about "I'm Your Captain"?
Great question. I have an easy answer because it changed. It changed in its rhythm. It changed in its pace. It changed in its approach to what the music is doing. I think what I lost, even if I could appreciate the 16th note and all the challenging consistency that Jeff did in your song, it doesn't interest me. It doesn't make me go, wow. It makes me hum along. It's a snappy, we'll say snappy little tune, right? Okay, it's done. It doesn't change my mind to pay attention. I'm Your Captain changes your mind to pay attention as it changes its rhythm, as it changes its approach, as things happen in that song, I follow along in my mind that there's a story, that there's something happening. When I listen to your song, I'm sitting here and I pay attention, right? And I listen to it and I see Michael's face on the iTunes there and I just watch it and I listen to it and it was over and nothing ever changed. From the moment Jeff started to the moment Jeff ended, that was it. Nice job. I appreciate it. And on to the next track.
I go out to dinner once a month with a group of guys, and we rotate selecting what restaurant. And some of the restaurants, and there's another guy in the group that he and I, we couldn't be more opposite. We go out of our way to not pick things that we so much enjoy, but just to antagonize the other person. But what I really like spicy food, so we'll go places and it's kind of we'll order a dish, and they always order baby spice. Like if we go to an Indian restaurant, baby spice. I'm going, you got a double spice. Like, you want real spice? Double what you're usually going to give me. So I guess what we have to do with Colin is give him baby spice drumming, unless it's double drum, wall to wall, nosebleed. So
Okay.
that's
As
so
long as
you're
you don't call me Baby Spice, I'm fine with it. I'm perfectly fine with that logic. As long as I don't pick up a new nickname, that's all I ask. All right. So, Glenn, what did you give to Robin? What did you?
I gave her my new favorite drummer, not my all-time favorite drummer, but my newer favorite drummer, Vessel 2, Sleep Token. And so, yeah, Robin, you can do the rest of the intro.
Oh my gosh. So this was such an interesting choice.
The name of it.
Um, actually, everything about it. I had not heard of this band. I had not heard of two.
I'm sorry. It's called the Love You Want.
The Love You Want.
Yeah.
Yes. And boy, I really had to research this band and this drummer. It was something I've never heard of any of it. This was all something totally new for me. So I'm happy to be turned on to this drummer in particular. Um, he really well, for one thing, so I know that they're anonymous. Anybody who's familiar with them, if they're not familiar, I'll let them know. They are anonymous. They do cover themselves. You never see what they look like. You don't know who they are. So there's a lot of mystery to them. And even in the one and only interview that I could find with him, he was, of course, covered, and even his voice was
Altered.
Altered, yes. So I was uncomfortable with that. I really wanted to see I wanted to see his expression. I know that's not what they want, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to see him talking about this as he was playing, and see him playing and see his body. But not being able to do that made me really focus in on his drumming alone, because I didn't like looking at the mask. I didn't like that. So I was so amazed at how he could blend seamlessly rock, jazz, like every dance, like metal. It all just was there with like seamlessly. When he first comes in, it's so like the polyrhythms are so amazing, and it was nice and easy and had this jazz feel. And then he just starts driving like the same polyrhythms, but with this rock feel. It was really cool, and it made me happy in the song, because the song, I love melody, I love that kind of stuff, and this was very monotone. Uh I guess monotone is the way the vocals were driving, and so his drumming just added this whole other feel of the song, almost like another singer. It completed the song for me and made it so interesting, and his skill level is off the charts. Like, I could think that there were maybe three people playing, and it was just him. So if it's even a him.
It's a him. Yeah.
But how do you know? Do we know
Well,
for sure?
There's a really good Shane, my son, sent me a picture of, he said, this is who everyone thinks he is. Now, And there's a couple of things, some of the tattoos match. And what was interesting in the picture that he sent me is he's playing the exact snare drum in that picture. It's a smaller set. Well, he plays a small set. He just has a lot of cymbals. He just has a 5-piece set. But he's playing that same snare drum, same color, same lugs. I was a little disappointed. I didn't want to know, really. Yeah, I kind of like that. But Robin, what got me about that song? I literally stopped in my tracks, and I don't think I listened to that song all the way through ever, because the first thing that got me was that intro. How he comes in a little bit off the 4A with a tom roll, and then he finishes it with a bass drum roll, and then it's just the floating, just the cymbals, and just how the jazz thing. I always rewind that, and then when he gets to the end, the crescendo,
Yeah.
I'm so full of the. I just keep going through that. So I was wondering if that was going to impact you the way that, because it's just so. His approach to it is so unique. I've never heard. You kind of heard songs like that before, but not a drummer play it like that before.
Never.
Refreshing.
Absolutely agree 100%. And I listened to that intro over and over myself because it just made me so happy. It made me feel so good. And it also made me very depressed because I could never do that. I was like, I might as well just quit now, but I'm so happy
Yeah.
at the same time.
It is. Then how he comes off of a fill like that, then into the verse, and that transition, because he drops back. It's not even the snares not on 2 and 4.
I know.
You know, it's the little bass drum, and then the rolls. I've realized at first I thought they were tom rolls. He just does that little, how he accents the
Right.
last word of the verse.
Yes.
That way. I'm going, how's he doing that? It's his feet.
It's
It's just,
ridiculous.
it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. And I do also like that in the first chorus, he actually just, it was so minimalistic and just reinforcing the lyrics. I thought that was equally as impactful as his incredible skill and how I have no idea how,
Yeah.
no words. Yeah. Sorry, listeners. I'm speechless. Yeah.
Robert, that's how I was when I couldn't, if people had ears, I'm going, have you heard of Sleep Taken? Have you heard of Sleep Taken? And because like I love nuance. And when you see a band like that, and I think that their appearance belies their musicality. I'm not saying the people who look like that, but you wouldn't expect them to be that emotional.
No,
And um the fact that they bring in rock, jazz,
all of
his
it.
Two's influence are his primary influences are gospel drummers.
Yes, and
So
also Eric Moore. He mentioned Eric
he's a
Moore, who
gospel drummer. Yeah.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
I ended up listening to a lot of his, and I was just blown away by him. So I
Yeah.
can see why he influenced him. Yes.
Mhm. They have one song that is flat out hip hop. It's just a hip hop. So what impresses me about them and him and his ability to support what they play is that they obviously listen to other forms of music.
Yes.
I think one of the three of us seems like they like music where the musicians don't listen to anything but what they play. And I'm just one of the three. I'm going to let you kind of figure out which one, but it's kind of
Oh
obvious by his
my
choices. But but I'm glad you enjoy. I'm glad that it impacted you like that, because it's a genuine wow. It really is.
It's completely because even like the not loving like that type of vocal, like I said, I loved it regardless and was blown away by his contribution to that song. And as I was researching more on him, he's doing all this techno stuff, like literally any kind of genre he um was bringing into his playing and his body and soul. And I just was really blown away by that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So you turned me on to somebody I never would have known about. So thank you for that.
Well, nah, I'm glad to pass that on. And I thank Percussionistics really for turning me on to him, because I looked him up because he won every Drumeo category that he was in, he won.
Right.
So let me listen to this I thought he was going to be like Mike Portnoy, great
Right.
drummer,
Right.
or maybe a Danny Carey, great drummer. But this cat's different.
He's different. There's something very unique, and I think it's all those styles that he's somehow able to incorporate
Mhm.
and execute, which it's mind-blowing. Yeah. Yeah. 3 people couldn't do what he's doing as one person.
Right.
Well, the next time we choose to do this theme, I'm going to research Scandinavian folk music beforehand, and that's what the two of you are getting. So I think it's my turn, if I may.
I believe it is.
Apparently, I'm so predictable, but I really tried for you, Doctor. I tried. I tried. I tried. I tried to do something different. So I'm going to start with you first. I gave you something I thought would be not what you were expecting from me, right? With Robin, I went metal because that's who I am. But for you, I went infectious grooves. I went with something I thought you might sit back and say, "Wow, this is kind of something I wasn't expecting him to give." Now, the song I chose, had some language probably you're not a fan of, but besides that, what did you think of this song in terms of what the drummer brings to this song?
So let's get the first part out of the way. The lyrics. Obviously, you have to be sociopathic. Did you listen to it, Robin?
I did.
My goodness. So all the virtues, they kind of twist. But anyway.
Sociopathic kids. All right, go
I
ahead.
will. But, oh man,
We're gonna
Colin,
need a glossary for this show as it continues to go.
I was so ready to nitpick the song apart and say I enjoyed it. It was exactly what it was, violent, but man, it was so funky. And he tastefully, I appreciate any drummer that can do those 16th note beats on their bass drum. But sometimes it's just wall to wall stuff. And he didn't do it wall to wall. He did it very tastefully. And just his stick skills, it was really cool. It was good. It was good. I was glad that you gave me that and not what you gave Robin.
Well, we'll get to Robin in a second.
But yeah, I enjoy it. I can't say that I'm sorry, go ahead.
This project is so Mike Muir is the lead singer and the brain power behind Suicidal Tendencies. And for those of us that have followed them over the years through the 80s and 90s, they have a big following. They made it large in the hard rock metal world. And this is one of his side projects. And Robert Trujillo from Metallica has spent time in this. Brooks Wackerman is the guy that played drums on this record back. This Infectious Grooves had some Beavis and Butthead time, and they had these little weird moments in the history of this band. But I think that what is very interesting about this, about Infectious Grooves, even though Beavis and Butthead picked up on it a little bit, it wasn't made to be popular. It wasn't made to be a success in my mind. It was made because it's fun. It's made because these guys are talented and they want to hang out and they want to, I don't know, make goofy lyrics and they want to have funky songs and they just kind of want to do, I don't know, whatever entertains them that day. So I thought that it was enough off the beaten path for you, Glenn, to find it intriguing.
It was a fun song. The music was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it.
Now,
darn it.
Now, to help me before we get to Robin, if I were to use the word funky from a drummer's perspective, what does that mean? When you say it was funky, what is that? Tell us, what makes it that?
It's almost like calypso, where it's a bounce thing. Now calypso makes you swing, funk makes you bounce. You dance to funk, makes you dance even if you can't dance.
No, I don't know about that. Trust me. That'd be a miracle if you can get me to do that. But go ahead.
Yeah, just the syncopation. There's a lot of things happening, but it's still so smooth. So it's not like wall to wall, just sound, but it's one thing leading to the other. How the bass drum interacts with the snare drum and the hi-hat, and then the bass dancing on top of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is I agree 1,000,000%. It's a feel. And it does make you bounce. It's got such nuance, but steadiness. It's a feel. It's a funky feel, and it does make you dance. And I mean, the title of this song, "Violent and Funky," it couldn't be more precise.
That's for
Mhm.
sure. That's
It's
for sure.
It's so funky. I love the funk. I love the rhythm of the song. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so much fun. It reminded me of the Jet song, "Are You Gonna Be My Girl?" That with those.
Yeah, it does.
That's when
Yes.
immediately I was like, "Oh, wait, this sounds familiar," but it's different enough because this is actually more funky, whereas that I feel like that's more rock. Um, and I loved the funky groove of this drummer. I thought he was incredible, and I did some more research on him, and he's an incredible drummer as well.
Mhm.
But I love what he did with this song. It really made me move and dance,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
I listened to
Wonderful.
it a few times. One time I was on the treadmill and I was probably running 12 miles an hour. Like, well,
Okay, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as a good thing. So, yes, in my most predictable moment in a long time, I picked a song for Robin that should not surprise anybody. And here's why I did this. One, Judas Priest is one of my top bands of all time, and it's just always will be. But two, I wanted not that you don't have the knowledge, but I thought I've got to bring something somewhat just as straightforward as it can be when it comes to metal music and some of the historic moments. And Judas Priest, coming out of the 80s, had done an album that didn't do very well. Turbo was kind of mocked to some degree, and the 80s were wrapping up, and they kind of reinvented themselves to some degree. And Dave Holland, their drummer, had left,
Right.
and they went looking for another drummer. They were like, well, who are we going to get? And Scott Travis had been in a band called Racer X, which really hadn't hit any major success, but he is just power personified. I mean, this dude doesn't stop. And so when Painkiller came out, and that first, because back then it was a needle, when the first needle hit on the record that we all bought, how can you not stand back in awe at what this guy does on the opening track of Painkiller? So how did I do with you? What did you think?
Oh my God, Colin. I am obsessed with this song.
There you go.
I
Thank you and good night,
so
folks.
I mean, seriously, like, well, and uh, more obsessed with Scott Travis. Um, my prior knowledge of Judas Priest, it will probably make you cringe. Of course, living after midnight. You got another thing coming. Those were more in what I would be listening to, and that's probably as heavy as I ever got. Not that I don't appreciate it, because I appreciate all. I just love music, and I appreciate what everybody can bring to the table. So, but is it something I would normally listen to on a daily basis? No. So your pick for me was so perfect. And I mean, this guy, you're just shot out of a cannon with that intro, and his feet, the machine gun, like accuracy of those feet. And as I'm like watching him, uh, doing my research and just looking at everything I possibly can about him, his posture was so amazing to me, because he sits there like a freaking tree trunk, and his limbs are just like, I can't even, again, speechless. Like, he blew me away. Um Everything about what he did was so perfect, for like, it's just suited the song. I'm very particular about drumming suiting what the song is. I don't like overplaying. I don't like underplaying. I like everything to feel like it's all kind of synced up. That really works for me. And of course, this is such a driving song. And I was listening to something that he said. It was like, when he came up with the intro, he was just warming up and doing like exercises and stuff. And the guys were like, well, we like that. Just do more of that. And it literally was that that led into this incredible intro and the rest. And he said he knew that this song was, very high energy, needed a lot of drive. And I mean, talk about drive. And that I've never heard double bass in such speed and precision. And he's just sitting there like nothing's happening, like he could be just drinking a cup of coffee. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So
Wonderful. Boy, I'll tell you, you can't ask for more praise than that, can you, Glenn?
Are you ready for me to follow this up?
Why not?
So, Robin, I really I think that you're genuine about this, and you're such a sweetheart. We really appreciate this. All right, I don't want to take anything away from Scott Travis, but when you look at all the songs that were presented, that was the most unoriginal drumming. I'm not saying it was bad. But you can find 10 other heavy metal bands that play that. It's a wall-to-wall bass drum all the way through. There was a little bit of nuance, but there's a little bit of nuance in most of those songs. It was just, all right, this probably isn't a fair comparison, but since one of the people that we sampled was Vessel 2, his drumming on The Love You Want was kind of like there was an appetizer, and it was delicious. And then you had the main meal, and then the dessert, and you could see all that. This song was a great big brontosaurus burger with no bun. And so many people do that. He does it really well. Not everybody can do it. I can't do it. But it's not original. You just listen to it till your nose bleeds, and then you move on to another song. Yeah. So, and I'm not going out on my way to dig you, Colin. It's just that
I'm just listening.
I just
taking it in. It's
fortunately
okay.
feel that way. It was.
But when your call gets dropped in a moment, don't be shocked. Things like that happen.
So you look, this isn't tit for tat, but when you look at what Jeff Porcaro did, and I keep forgetting, that's a song that whether you understand it or not, drummers look at that and go, that is some really, really playing. It's so articulate. There's feel, there's grace, there's stuff to that. Not there's not a lot of drummers. Well, first of all, if other drummers could do it, they hadn't done it. And I haven't heard anything like it since.
See, I'm sorry to cut you off, and I certainly want to hear you finish. That is one of the reasons why this album hit so hard, because it wasn't that time anymore for metal music to wow anybody. It wasn't. Grunge was coming in, right? The radios were changing. People were cutting their hair, and also it's a weird grungy Seattle things. And out of nowhere comes this song, this album. And again, to Robin's point, all of us sat back and we were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, what are they doing? Like, this is not where America in this genre is anymore. It's Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and you guys are killing us with this track. So please continue.
So it's not the drumming that resonated with you. It's the timing of the drumming.
Well,
whereas
certainly to some degree, yes.
Okay.
Certainly to some degree.
Because everything else we talked about was the drummer and what he was bringing to it, not just if we look at it that way, then Slim Jim Phantom from Stray Cats was doing something that other drummers weren't doing.
I still think it was the drumming. I'm just saying the drumming combined with the timing was an amazing moment in metal history for Judas Priest and for the genre in general.
Right. And for me, because I'm not like so familiar with Judas Priest, and it's such a genre that I don't and haven't really in the past listened a lot to, or listened to a lot. It really was like being shot out of a cannon. That the drum, it just really like, whoa, I haven't heard. I mean, I just haven't paid a lot of attention to that kind of music because it's not, like I said before, I really like melody. I really like nuance. That's kind of what I'm more used to listening to. So this just took me by surprise because it was so unfamiliar to me. So the drumming, my appreciation for what he was doing in that song is what I just love.
It's like,
No, go ahead.
It's like you're walking down the street, Rob, and you see somebody
he has to get this out. He's like,
nice leather jacket. And you go, wow, what is that? I've never seen it. And then you follow that person and they walk into a leather shop And you go, wow, there's all these leather jackets. Now, the first time I saw one, it was pretty unique, but look at all these leather jackets. Apparently, if you wear if the love you want was a jacket, you could follow that person all over and you'd never see anything like it.
Right. I,
If
I I get
I
your point. I get your
uh-huh.
point.
So
So
why that got you was because you just aren't used to that genre, but there's a million drummers doing that.
And we're going to listen to them all on this podcast. On this podcast, I'm going to shove those things at you guys, and you're going to say, wow, there are a million of them. You know, one of these days I want to get Vessel 2 on this podcast for an interview. And when I say who are your influence, he's going to go, man, I love Scott Travis growing up. That guy
Right.
blew me away.
Yeah, and Scott Travis played that genre well.
Yeah.
So it's not a shot against Scott Travis. It's just there's a lot of people that just do that.
Hey, listen, I totally get it. That's, you know,
Colin, you were like what, 3 for 4?
yeah, not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. I was what, 50%?
So,
Not even,
okay.
I don't know.
I think we all did a great job. So listen, and I hope everybody found this. This was entertaining for me just to listen to and I hear the future. I hear the future of what this podcast will continue to be. And I love the fact that we don't always agree. So you know, Glenn's cheap shots aside, I thought everything was great. And you know, and we did a great job. And God bless Robin again for being the adult in the room and keeping us you know, honest.
I'm so happy to be here with you guys. It's so much fun.
Wonderful. Well,
It was great
listen,
having you on, Robin.
Thank you
absolutely.
guys.
A drummer's perspective.
Thank you.
So
And I
on
felt
behalf,
like we ganged up. I'm sorry, Colin. I
that's
felt we
okay.
ganged up
No,
on
no,
Colin a
I'm
little
gonna
bit
let
too.
you
I
end the
enjoyed
you
that.
end the episode when
Nope,
you're ready,
nope,
Glenn.
nope,
Go ahead.
nope. I'm
We
done.
ganged we
I'm
ganged
done.
up on Colin. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, Robin was being very kind, but you know, she was going, I don't. It's like, your kid draws you a picture, right? That picture looks nothing like you, but you go, ah.
No,
Wow.
no, I'm
Wow.
always
Robin
authentic,
was
and
giving you the, ah.
I am always actually expressing my true feelings. So I meant every word.
When
We
you
believe you. You were just gracious.
my
I
my
just
advice
wasn't. We said
my
the same
advice,
thing.
listeners, is when you get to like 57 minutes and Robin gives me that great compliment on my song, just stop listening. Just go to the next one because you don't really need to hear anything past Robin saying, what an amazing track you chose. That's really where Dr. Jones, may I end the episode now? Do you feel okay?
I'm pretty sure I've gotten it all out.
Okay. Until next time. So,
Until next time.
all right. Listen, on behalf of Glenn Jones, on behalf of the wonderful, and thank you for joining us, Robin Gilbert. I'm Colin Basso. This is Percussionistics, and we will see you all shortly for episode 6. Thank you for listening.